Welcome to this explainer. Did you know that for new businesses in Vietnam, the absolute heaviest fines often hit before you've even made your first sale? It's wild but true. Today we're breaking down the 20-point post-incorporation checklist for Vietnam. We're doing this to help newly minted founders and foreign investors avoid those brutal early-stage penalties. Setting up a business here is incredibly exciting, but the regulatory landscape, it has evolved rapidly, especially when we look ahead to the new 2026 standards. So we're going to walk through the absolutely crucial steps you must take the second your company is officially registered.
All right, let's just dive right in. You just received your Enterprise Registration Certificate, or your ERC. You might literally be holding that piece of paper right now, feeling this profound sense of accomplishment, and you should. But does that actually mean you're legally ready to operate your business? The reality of the impending work is about to hit, and honestly, a lot of new entrants to the Vietnamese market make a critical assumption right at this exact moment.
It's a really dangerous misconception that getting the certificate is the finish line. The reality is that organizing your early compliance is the absolute cheapest form of risk management you will ever buy. For foreign-invested enterprises and local startups alike, this period immediately after registration is where easily avoidable mistakes quickly snowball into heavy fines, blocked invoicing, or just massive headaches during your very first tax finalization.
Now, a 20-point checklist can feel completely overwhelming. So to keep this manageable, we're going to unpack it into 4 simple, distinct buckets: immediate tasks, strict deadlines, activity triggers, and internal standardization.
Let's start right off the bat with bucket number 1, the immediate tasks. These are your baseline legal requirements, the things you have to do today. First, you need to secure your master legal file, which is vital for any future capital raising. Next, get that signboard up at your physical office. Fun fact, a missing sign is actually an instant red flag for tax inspectors. You're also going to need to set up your VNID enterprise identity, which is becoming increasingly mandatory for administrative procedures in Vietnam. Oh, and a golden rule to remember right now: never ever run company receipts through a personal bank account. You must ensure you have a strictly corporate bank account for completely transparent cash flow.
And speaking of securing things, you need to treat your company's seal and your digital USB token like they belong in a bank vault. Tightly controlling who holds these protects you from unauthorized high-risk transactions. In Vietnam, that digital token is exactly how you file taxes, register electronic invoices, and sign binding legal documents online. You have to formally adopt internal rules about who has access to these items. They aren't just regular office supplies, they are literally the keys to your company's legal identity.
Moving right along to our second bucket, strict deadlines. So the big number here is 90. That's the 90-day limit to fully contribute your charter capital. Under the law on enterprises, founding members and shareholders have exactly 90 days from the day that ERC is issued to inject their committed capital. If you failed to do this in full without getting a timely adjustment, you are looking at some serious liability issues. And for foreign investors, you have to carefully route this money through a direct investment capital account, or DICA. So you really need to plan that inbound international transfer very early on.
Let's see how this all builds on a timeline. Day 1, you get your ERC. By day 90, your capital absolutely must be in. But look closely at month 1, e-invoice registration. The old days of simply notifying the tax office? Yeah, those are gone. Today, your e-invoices must be explicitly accepted by the tax authority before you can issue a single one. Missing these windows triggers heavy fines. Also, keep in mind that while new companies are usually exempt from the business license tax in their first year, you've got to track it so you don't miss the filing deadline when year 2 rolls around. And remember, you have to file periodic VAT returns even if you literally haven't generated a single dollar of revenue yet.
Okay, shifting gears to bucket number 3, activity triggers.
There's a very clear if-then logic at play with these rules, because not everything hits you on day 1. You don't need to register for social insurance right away. You only do that when you actually hire staff who fall under the compulsory scheme. You only worry about fixed asset depreciation when you actually go out and buy a delivery vehicle or factory machinery. But be super careful with your digital footprint. Simply launching a website, setting up a CRM, or even just running a recruitment campaign immediately triggers complex data protection obligations under Vietnam's cybersecurity and personal data protection laws. And lastly, just having an ERC doesn't give you a blank check to operate in any sector. If you're doing food, education, logistics, or healthcare, you've just triggered the need for specific sublicenses before you can even open your doors.
Here is a pro tip. Establish a disciplined month 1 accounting approach. It is your absolute best shield during a future tax audit. One of the biggest, most common mistakes new founders make is waiting until December to scramble and gather contracts, invoices, and bank statements. Don't do that. If you start tracking personal income tax the exact moment you pay your first salary and set up your accounting ledgers right from month one, you ensure your records perfectly align with all regulatory requirements. It'll save you so much stress.
Finally, we reach our fourth and final bucket, internal standardization.
Setting up foundational internal rules right away transforms a basic checklist into a robust internal control system. It gives you the exact paper trail you need to justify corporate expenses to the tax authorities and to smoothly resolve any internal cash flow disputes. Think of these policies, like your spending policy, salary rules, and contract signing process, as the actual gears that keep your company running smoothly. It ensures the machine keeps working perfectly, even if key personnel change down the line. Because if you don't do this, every single bullet point you skip today accrues what we call compliance debt. It's kind of like technical debt in software engineering, but for your legal foundation. Unrecorded receipts, unwritten internal policies, and unregistered invoices act as a massive, compounding roadblock when you eventually try to secure a bank loan, or when you undergo a tax audit, or try to attract foreign M&A investors. You'll end up spending exponentially more time and money trying to retroactively fix these issues than it would have cost to just do it right the first time.
There's a great quote that says, "Operating first, complying later is an expensive myth." And that really hits the nail on the head. It perfectly summarizes why building a clean, highly organized legal and financial house from day one is totally non-negotiable in Vietnam today. The authorities are increasingly digitizing their oversight. We're talking e-invoices, VNet ID integration, meaning any errors or omissions are caught much, much faster than they ever were in the past.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to look at your own post-incorporation checklist and honestly ask yourself, is your business truly built to survive scrutiny? Like, could your compliance foundation survive an audit today? Do you have a single point of contact managing this? Are your digital tokens locked down? Is your capital fully contributed? By systematically addressing the 4 buckets we talked about today, you are empowering your business to safely thrive in Vietnam. So take a hard look at those foundations today. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you next time.